Hi, everyone. Welcome to the PD Avengers webinar with Tim Hague. My name is Emma Tornero. I'm a client service coordinator with Parkinson Association of Alberta, and I'll be moderating this webinar. If you have any questions during the webinar, please enter them in the chat below. I will start the chat, so then there's something to go off of, and you can enter them there, and we'll get to them at the end of the presentation. Just a disclaimer before the presentation, this webinar is recorded. All of the information provided in the videos by Parkinson Association and featured speakers is furnished strictly for educational and entertainment purposes only. The service is not intended to be diagnostic, prescriptive, or replace the relationship, advice, and/or care of your physician. General questions about medication, symptoms, and treatments will be fielded. So today we are joined by Tim Hague. He is a public speaker, educator, and advocate for people living with Parkinson's disease. At just 46, Tim was diagnosed with young onset Parkinson's disease. 3 years following his diagnosis, Tim participated and won the Amazing Race Canada. And since then, he has been an advocate for Parkinson's. He continues to use his spotlight to educate and raise awareness towards finding a cure and helping those living with Parkinson's disease. And Tim has partnered with various organizations to encourage physical activity among those with Parkinson's. So Tim is joining us today to talk about the PD Avengers, and I'll hand it over to you, Tim.
There we go. Good morning, Emma, or good day. Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here with you. Thanks for that very kind introduction. That's very nice. And yeah, I'm going to have to focus on staying on PD Avengers today because lots of things you said there got my mind racing. It's like, oh, we got to talk about this and that and that. No, we're coming back in a couple of months, I believe. We'll talk more about the exercise and some of the things that I do with U-turn Parkinson's. But yes, I was diagnosed 10 whole years ago now. It's been in 2011. I was 46 at the time. Yes, that makes me 56 now. And not getting old, but getting something. But nonetheless, it's been 10 years since I was diagnosed. And I now have, in that time, we did indeed run the Amazing Race, won. And that launched us on a brand new career speaking and Parkinson's advocacy work, which I have been thrilled to be a part of. It's been so much fun, and it's just been a real pleasure to serve our community in that way. So this morning we want to talk about PD Avengers specifically. I will note that I am the executive director and founder of U-turn Parkinson's, a wellness center here in Winnipeg. I hail from Winnipeg, Manitoba. A little bit more background, I guess, on a personal side. I'll start with is I'm married, a wife of 36 years, Cheryl. You will have no doubt seen and heard of her somewhere along the way. 4 wonderful kids, one that's married, 2 serious boyfriends, and the 4th one still looking. Well, has a girlfriend, but we'll see. Hopefully he doesn't listen to this now. So 4 kids, 1 daughter-in-law, the other partners, and then Bella the dog, the 1-year-old rescue dog that is mostly German Shepherd, who hasn't killed me yet, but she's a big dog and she is a lot of work and a lot of fun. And then 2 grandkids, and then lots and lots of friends in the Parkinson's community. So you came to hear about PD Avengers this morning. Well, what is a PD Avengers? Well, I have a deck that I will share with you here. So I'll flip over to I will share my screen with you. See if I can be successful with that. There we go. That's me. Various things that I am involved in. And yeah. But the PD Avengers, who in the world are the PD Avengers? Well, the PD Avengers are, I'll get my screen to, interesting. Okay, there we go. That's what I want you to see. That was me. And then the PD Avengers are a global alliance of people with Parkinson's coming together to demand change in how Parkinson's is seen and treated around the world. We realize that since 1817, in the 200 years since Parkinson's was first described, there has been little done on our behalf. We have 1 gold standard medication, levodopa, that was developed back in the 60s. That 1 gold standard that works for most of us, not all of us, but most of us. and yet isn't available to much of the world. You go through Asia, Africa, Central and South America, there are vast swaths of humanity that have no access to basic medications. And so a group of us came together and said, you know what, these things need to change. This needs to change. And so we have since come to a large group of people in our community. But it began with these three. We came by the book, Ending Parkinson's, which I would strongly recommend you read if you haven't yet. And we got excited about the things that were laid out in that book, the prescription for action that the authors laid out. So Larry kind of brought Sonia and I together. And at the time, there were a total of probably 15 of us that met the first time. And we began discussing, a lot of these different concepts of what was happening in the PD community, what was happening in the PD world, what was happening around the world from a global standpoint. And we began to say, there's lots of things that need to be fixed here. There is no patient-led organization. There's nothing that directly speaks for us, the people, if you will, living with the disease. And so as we talked, somebody said, you know what, we're kind of like superheroes trying to rid the world of evil. And somebody else said, yeah, we're kind of like the PD Avengers, or we're kind of like the Avengers. And somebody else said, yeah, the PD Avengers. And well, the short story is that the name stuck. Now, there have been lots of folks that said, what are Avengers? What are you trying to avenge? What are you trying to get even with? Nothing. I need to explain that when you think PD Avengers, think Marvel Comics, think Batman and Robin, think Superman, think Wonder Woman. The Avengers are modern day superheroes, cartoon superheroes, and that's what, for good or ill, we have modeled ourselves on. Believing that each of us have a superpower to bring to the table that we need to help mitigate our symptoms and ultimately find a cure for Parkinson's. So the PD Avengers were born. Out of that large group of 15, Larry Gifford, Sonia Mather, and myself ended up kind of spearheading the group. We have since organized a corporation around it, a nonprofit, and we sit on the board of directors for that. The original PD Avengers, if you will, were the authors of the book, Ending Parkinson's Disease. Dr. Ray Dorsey, Todd Shearer, Bass Bloom, Michael Oken, and that pact that I was talking about, prevent, advocate, care, and treat, really inspired us that there were things that we could be doing tangibly in the here and now to help people living with Parkinson's today. To not only live well today, but to raise our collective voice around the world and to lend a hand to research and all of that, and ultimately seeing Parkinson's brought to an end. So who are we? We are a global alliance of people with Parkinson's, our partners and friends, standing together, demanding change in how the disease is seen and treated. Our vision is to end Parkinson's disease. And you say, well, that's a big deal, right? Yeah, it is a big deal. It's a very big deal, but it's important. There's been lots of things done in the world, lots of things accomplished, but very little has been done with Parkinson's. And that's not to diminish the work of anyone who has come before us. Without the work of those who have come before us, we would still be in the shadows, folks. We'd still be in the back alley, nobody thinking about us. But the work that Parkinson's Alberta has done, Michael J. Fox, Davis Finney Foundation, and on, Brian Grant Foundation, and on and on and on and on. So many that have come before have done such tremendous work to help alleviate our day-to-day, as well as push us forward towards a cure. So it's not to diminish anything, but to realize that there's still much work that needs to be done, that we need to add urgency to this cause. We need to build a large voice towards ending this. Our mission is to raise an alliance of 1 million people by the end of 2022. And yes, is that a big deal? That's a big deal. Well, I'll tell you in a while where we're at. But you need a big, audacious, hairy goal in life, right? If you want to get anywhere. And we built ourselves a big, audacious, hairy goal, and we'll see how far we get. But at the end of this, I'm going to ask you to become a PD Avenger and to become a part of us reaching that goal, because we can't do it by ourselves. Excuse me. And like I said, we exist to add urgency to the cause of ending Parkinson's, that it needs to happen now. It needs to happen yesterday. Much more could be done. We've seen in the last 2 years, pre-COVID, that we have developed multiple vaccines for COVID in a very short amount of time. We have seen that when we put our mind to something, when we put our focus to something, there is lots that can be done. There is lots that we can accomplish. And so we need to put that kind of focus and energy and urgency to Parkinson's and see much more done. We know that today there are 10 million people in the world living with Parkinson's. It is the fastest growing neurological disease on the planet. It is degenerative. It will get worse. It has more than 40 possible symptoms. I mean, you know most of this, right? Of which levodopa, the gold standard of treatment, is over 50 years old, and it's not 100% effective, and it's not available to everyone who needs it. That just needs to change. Parkinson's was described over 200 years ago. And yet in that 200 years, humanity has put men on the moon. We've eradicated polio. We've changed HIV from a death sentence to a chronic illness. We have mapped the human genome, and we've discovered thousands of galaxies among the stars. And yet we have provided precious little bit beyond that one 50-year-old drug for Parkinson's disease. And we're just simply tired of that. We're tired of that being the reality. And we want to see more done. And we'll talk about that more as we go here. So we are an incorporated nonprofit, the Global Alliance to End Parkinson's Disease, and we operate as the PD Avengers. And we truly are a global alliance. At this point, as of today, we sit at about 4,100, probably just a little more than that. We grow every day a bit, 4,100 distinct individuals who have signed up to be PD Avengers. We are represented in 76 different countries. All those red countries is where a PD Avenger lives. Somebody who said, yes, I believe in your mission, I believe in your vision, and I want to help you get there. So it's just amazing to me when you stop and look at that. All of Canada, we have PD Avengers in every province and territory, most every province and territory across the country. The United States is entirely covered except Oklahoma. I'm not sure what we've done wrong there. But you look at South America, so many PD Avengers there. Look at Africa, so many countries covered there. Europe, Eastern Europe, Russia, China, Australia, New Zealand. We are literally around the world. We are truly a global alliance. We have 63 partners represented in those numbers. A partner is like the Parkinson's Alberta, different organizations who have signed on and said, yes, we believe in the mission and vision of PD Avengers, and we want to be a part. And we have been in existence for about 18 months. So if you look at that number, 4,100 PD Avengers up against the 1 million that we're shooting for by the end of 2022, you say, wow, that's not a very big number. But when you consider that we've been in existence for 18 months and none of us really know what we're doing, we're flying by the seat of our pants. We're pretty proud of where things have come. And we are very excited about all the people who have chosen to step up with us and say, yes, we want to make our voices heard. We want to end Parkinson's, and we are willing to join the ranks of being heard and helping with that. So our unique proposition, where we uniquely stand in the world. All right, stop for a second. I think my PowerPoint's not quite working for me. Where did we go? There we go. The first and foremost unique piece about the PD Avengers is that we are patient-led. And I don't think that there's I'm not aware of another organization anywhere in the world that can make that statement. that our board of directors and our leadership is strictly people living with Parkinson's, which I think is important. It brings a completely different perspective to what we do and how we do it, and the urgency with which we do it. Because, 10 years in my disease, in my diagnosis, I remember the day I was diagnosed and the doctor told me I'd have 10 to 15 good years. Now, maybe he's right, maybe he's wrong, but nonetheless, that statement stands in my mind. And when you say that I'm 3/4 of the way there, that adds a little bit of urgency for me. That if I've got another 5 good years, I want to see things happen. I want to see things move on. So it does add a different perspective to how we do things. We don't fundraise. PD Avengers is privately funded. And we deliberately made this decision so as not to be in competition with all the other organizations out there who do fundraise, who need to fundraise. And our goal is to come alongside them and assist them in their work. And hopefully they will in turn do the same for us, but not compete for dollars. We very much work with a think global, act local proposition for how we do things. We want to have a large global look and feel for what we do, but we want it to be able to be taken and used specifically where you're at. So if in Alberta, we want you to be able to take the concepts that PD Avengers come up with and make it work for Albertans. But we also want to take that same concept and make it work for folks in Uganda, so that we all speak with one voice, yet it's purposefully locally driven, so that it meets your culture, your language, your needs, just as much as it does Uganda or somewhere in China or Nepal or wherever. And our goal is to amplify campaigns that if there's something specific that Parkinson's Alberta is doing that we can get on board with, that meets the mission and vision of PD Avengers, we want to take that and amplify it and tell the world what you're doing, and get people behind it who may not have been behind it or even known about it before, but who can come together as one alliance around the world to speak with one loud voice. And as our membership grows, so does our influence with places like the UN, the World Health Organization, and governments. We have been able to go to the UN, and we are campaigning there for them to recognize April 11th as World Parkinson's Day across the world. We submitted a letter to them this past year. It was a little late. It was too late because it didn't happen, but it's early for next year. And we are hopeful that we can do that. That has never been done on a global scale. And yet PD Avengers are leading the charge in seeing that happen. And that's important to have happen because it allows us to be acknowledged that much more, that Parkinson's is important and is needed, that there are specific treatments needed around the world when the UN comes out and acknowledges an illness. And the WHO is specifically doing work on Parkinson's disease for the first time ever, laying out guidelines as how nation states should be treating their individuals living with Parkinson's, medications that should be used. And when that first meeting happened, the first meeting ever at the WHO for Parkinson's happened, the only organization there was the PD Avengers. The only Parkinson's organization that was there was the PD Avengers. And that person was a person with Parkinson's, Larry Gifford. So we have been shocked and amazed and thrilled of the access that we have been able to gain in such a short amount of time, and to gain a voice globally for people living with Parkinson's disease. And so when we talk about you joining us, the more people that stand behind us, the more we can say there's 4,100 people who believe in this. There's 10,000 people who believe in this. There are 100,000 people who believe in this. It gains credibility, it gains access, and people are willing to listen. So it's very important. And we want to unify the global Parkinson's community. We want to activate people with Parkinson's in forgotten territories. We have people in Romania, Uganda, Yukon, Algeria, places that you just don't hear that much about. And yet there are people there living with Parkinson's. And in many of these kind of places, without any kind of real support. No medications, no education, no information, and precious little in the way of therapies. We want to build partnerships and that urgency with our 60+ organizations and continue to see that grow. We have 3 pillars that we work with, 3 guiding principles, if you will. Because it's like, okay, what do you do? You've got this organization going. What are the things that you're going to actually do? Well, these 3 pillars are wellness, advocacy, and research. Wellness is, we believe every person with Parkinson's should have equitable access to information, medication, and therapies. Like I've said, there are so many people around the world who don't have basic medication for Parkinson's. So we have, under our wellness pillar, created a committee. And under that committee is working groups that are working on specific aspects within each of these. So we have a committee working on bringing basic medications to Africa. And you say, well, how do you do that? Well, you'll have to join us and find out. It's a huge task. It is a massive task, far more than I could begin to go into here. But what I need to say, though, is that if you have expertise in pharma, in dealing with governments, any of those kind of logistics that would go from getting a medication from North America to Uganda, say, or Kenya, then we need to talk. Because that's a kind of partnerships that we're building. That's a kind of work that we're attempting to do, is to go to places who we see have absolutely nothing and make a difference there. And we have an active committee right now working on bringing medication to parts of Africa. We believe that basic information needs to be available to everyone with Parkinson's. And yet you can go so many places in South America, South and Central America, where, well, Uganda is a really good example, because Hannington, forget Hannington's last name, but a gentleman there who works with Parkinson's in Uganda, many people still believe that it's witchcraft, that they don't understand it's a disease. They think you've been demon possessed. And so because of that, many people with Parkinson's are treated like lepers of old, as we know. They're put outside the city, put outside the tribe, and cut off because of Parkinson's. I mean, what if that was happening here? We would be shocked and enraged, right? And yet it's very much a reality for many people around the world. And then so many people don't understand that basic physical therapy, basic exercise makes a huge difference in our lives. And we want to take steps to bring that information to light, to let people know that. And that's our wellness pillar. Our advocacy pillar simply says, we believe we must become a loud, uncomfortable, ever-present voice demanding change in how the disease is seen and treated. And that's just true. We think back, we often use the HIV, the ACT UP time back in the 60s and 70s, or later than that, but the whole ACT UP era, and seeing government make change for people living with HIV. And we've seen the difference that's made, that it has indeed gone from a death sentence to a chronic illness. And we believe, we don't believe we're ever going to be the ACT UP kind of folks, really. I don't see us chaining ourselves to trees. Our demographic is a little different. I don't see us necessarily chaining ourselves to government doors, but I do believe that we can be loud, that we can be uncomfortable, and that we can be ever present in front of our governments, our various organizations, our various, anybody who touches Parkinson's, and telling and making our voices heard, and telling the needs that we have, and seeing things change. And that's our advocacy, that we just simply have to be consistent and loud and persistent in how we present to people. And we have a variety of committees under advocacy that are working on in different areas, specifically on that as well. Research. We believe patients are integral in every aspect of research in the quest for better treatments and ending Parkinson's. How many times have you heard that a Parkinson's researcher has never met a person living with Parkinson's? How is that possible? How is it even possible? How many times are drugs or therapies or processes put in place without anyone ever talking to a person with Parkinson's? We just find that unconscionable, that has to stop, that we have to be central, We have to be integral to every single aspect of research. Because if it's not about us, what are they doing it for? If they haven't asked us what we feel we need, what are they doing it for? I mean, it seems to make sense to me, but I don't know. It's intriguing. So we are specifically looking at working with pharma and government and how we can be integral and at the center of all research that happens with in the Parkinson's community. These are many of the partners that we work with. There are some 60 plus, and there are lots, and all the big guns are there. Parkinson's Alberta should be there somewhere. I mean, this isn't showing everybody, but if we've left you out, I apologize. I didn't specifically check today. But you see Brian Grant there, and Michael J. Fox, and Parkinson's Africa, and Parky Life in Europe, and Parkinson's UK, and like it's everybody around the world. There's the World Parkinson's Coalition. U-Turn Parkinson's is there, absolutely. And we are very excited by the caliber and just the overwhelming support that everyone in the Parkinson's community has shown us. All right, I just want to make sure I'm not missing anything on our 3 pillars that we were talking about there. All right. Some of the successes that we've seen to date, Omatola Thomas was one of the 15 first founding members of PD Avengers. She has gone on to found Parkinson's Africa and is just having tremendous success there. We have been very pleased to help her raise $10,000 originally that went to medication, providing medication for people in Nigeria through the World Parkinson's Program. And that was just a huge endeavor that meant so much to lots of people in Nigeria living with Parkinson's disease. The Give a Dime campaign, we sent thousands and thousands and thousands. I believe we had 20,000 letters to the White House this past year, demanding that they hear us, make changes to how they're treating Parkinson's. That through COVID, we saw that telehealth works can be used for people living with Parkinson's, and that they should continue to fund that. They did not respond yet, but if you know us, we will persist. We will stay in front of them, and one day they will. And that was a fantastic campaign that I have no doubt will be repeated. In England this year, Vivid Dreams, if you didn't get to take this in, watch for it again. Next year, it's going to be in New York and London. It was an art exhibition that PD Avengers promoted, and that was all people living with Parkinson's disease. All the exhibitors had Parkinson's. And I was so very proud of this one because in Canada, there were 3 people across all of Canada that put artwork in, and 2 of them came from Winnipeg, both of them working with U-Turn Parkinson's. One was a board member of ours, and another teaches our art class. And I was so very pleased for them. And in the end, they both sold their artwork, which was just incredibly encouraging for them, of course. And then other things there that you'll see, Ping Pong Parkinson's that we're helping to promote starting out of Germany, the Parkinson's Games, which is an Olympics type games for people with Parkinson's coming next year in 2022. And then all the way over to the left, the Michael J. Fox Takeover. You can go to their podcast still and find the 2 episodes that we did that Larry, Sonia, and I took over the podcast for the day, and told you all about various organizations around the world. And that was really fun because that level of collaboration where you have one group that has a large platform giving another group that platform to talk about other Parkinson's groups, organizations, has rarely happened. And that was just a huge opportunity. And the PD Avengers are quite proud of our role that we have played in helping to break down some of those walls and some of those barriers and remove some of those silos that we can actually work together. and get more done together than we would ever do apart. So in the end, we want you. There's no way we can do this alone. There's no way we can do this alone. I am continually amazed at the people, the expertise that come out of the woodwork. We are working with a marketing company who's one of their founding directors, family member has Parkinson's, and they've come to us and said, how can we help you? Whatever it is, websites, social media, what do you need help with? Let us help you. And that's what we're doing, because they're excited about extending the voice, extending the need, helping the world to understand what Parkinson's really is, who has it, that it's not just an old man's disease, that there are many, many aspects of Parkinson's that need to be understood and treated better. And they're willing to take their superpowers and simply put them to use on behalf of all people living with Parkinson's. So today, that's what I'm asking of you. Will you join the PD Avengers? We're not asking you to do a lot. Matter of fact, you may not have to do much initially. Just add your voice to the cacophony of voices that are already there. And when we do things, when there are opportunities for you to be actively engaged, then we invite you to be actively engaged. But in the meantime, to add your voice there. Like I said, we're not going to spam you. We're not going to be hitting you up for cash. We simply don't fundraise. That will never be an issue. We're not going to hit you with emails day after day. It will just be, we send out once a month a action alert of where things are at, and that's about it. And as you want, if you want to be more involved, you can certainly reach out to us, and there are ways that you can be more involved. But up to that point, we promise not to spam you, hit you up for money all the time, but to simply invite you to join us in making our voices heard around the world, and to help those who live with far less than we have with Parkinson's. There's lots of things I want to talk about in wellness, but I can't. Next time. So how do you find us? This is how you find us. You can find us through Parkinson's, pdavengers.com, .org, EU, .net, .scot. It's growing. Schluss mit Parkinson's is German for end Parkinson's. And that's another really cool thing that has developed, is that we have got huge groups that have taken on. We talked about how there are some smaller countries that don't have much going on, but there are other countries that have just taken off. Our Spanish contingent is just taken off across PD Avengers, and not just in any one country, but across Central and South America. In Spain, Germany has just blossomed. Across England has just been a huge player with the PD Avengers at this point. And of course, the biggest numbers are coming out of the States and Canada yet. And there needs to be more in Canada, and we need to be more represented in the middle of Canada here. So come on, let's do this. But yes, there are some places around the world that have just taken off. And then make sure you go to our social media, at PD Avengers on YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. Like us, follow us, retweet our stuff that we put out, and help us raise awareness around the world for Parkinson's. All right, that is the end of that part. Are there questions? Is there anything I can add that I've missed that you would like to know?
Thanks, Tim. That was great. We do have a couple questions in the chat here, so we'll kind of go through them here. The first one is, where can I get printed resources that I can share with friends and family?
Right now, PD Avengers doesn't have printed resources, so we would send you back to Parkinson's Alberta, who I know has lots, and you can always, there is so much material out there. One of my favorites, my personal favorites, is Davis Phinney Foundation. Their Every Victory Counts manual is an incredible document. It is about this thick, so it's a tome, and it's not a read in one setting kind of thing, but it is very readable. It's written for the everyday person, It's not going to be over your head, and it provides lots and lots of information that you will find very helpful. And it's they used to give it away free across the board, but now there's a charge for it to come to Canada. But you can get the online version for free. So if you go to their website, dpf.org, hunt for the Every Victory Counts manual, you can find that there. Parkinson's Foundation has lots of information, and Parkinson's Foundation has information in lots of different languages. Parkinson's Canada has lots of information that you can get. They've got various publications and books and brochures out on just a wide variety of issues. So there's lots of tools out there. And that's actually one of the things that PD Avengers has talked about over time, is how do we take all of that information, because there's so much, bring it together into some kind of central repository, so that when I'm having a conversation like this, I can say, go here for this information, because we're really duplicating efforts in lots of ways. You'll see very similar information from Parkinson's Canada to Parkinson's UK to Parkinson's Foundation. And our question is, as people living with this disease, knowing that there are limited resources out there, why are we duplicating all this stuff? Why is everybody producing their own Parkinson's 101 book? There are dozens out there. Why are there dozens out there? That's a ton of money to be saved. Anyway, that tangent.
I do agree with you, though. I think, and for folks who are newly diagnosed, going on the internet and Googling Parkinson's, you're going to find every single one of those books. So to have one place where it's all collected and ready to go for you would be great. And I think it's something PD Avengers could do and would do very well. So. One of the other questions on here, so you mentioned the email with the action alert. Does it give details about social gatherings or things that a PD Avenger would need to do on behalf of PD Avengers? What's kind of included in that email?
Yes, it includes all of those things. And it tends to be a broad document, so that it's telling you, any one of our partners who has chosen to send us their important dates, we put those in there. And so you'll see things from a whole variety of people around the world, what those organizations are doing. But it will, of equal importance, it will tell you how you can be involved. It will tell you, with Vivid Art Exhibition coming up next year, we'll be giving you that information. If you're an artist and wanted to be involved in that, we would show you how to get involved with that, who you need to talk to. If you're an athlete of some sort and you see the Parkinson's Games coming up next year, we'll direct you to who to talk to there, so that you can get involved there. If you're looking for just the basic information, I'm newly diagnosed with Parkinson's, I live here, who can I talk to? We'll direct you to who you need to talk to. And we'll try to get you the resources that you need and that you want, not only for yourself, but to be an active PD Avenger and help raise our voice and promote wellness, advocacy, and research around the globe.
Perfect. And you can just register on the website on pdavengers.com. Perfect.
Go to the website. It's very easy. It'll take you like 5 minutes at the most. We don't collect lots of information, just the basics to keep you informed.
And can anyone join a PD Avenger? Does it have to be a person with Parkinson's, or can it be care partners, someone like myself who works with people?
Great question. It can be anybody. My kids, my wife. I haven't signed up my dog yet, but anybody can be a PD Avenger, and we need everyone. Whether you have Parkinson's or not. We encourage everyone to go out and find 5 people today. Join yourself, and then go out and find 5 more to join with you, and help us in Parkinson's, because it truly is a community global effort that's going to have to be put into this to make this work.
Perfect. The last one here, does PD Avengers take proposals to legislative bodies? Do they lobby for funding or research? You mentioned a couple letters that had been sent to the White House. I guess the question is more on a Canadian level. What is PD Avengers doing?
We can't do everything ourselves. So this is where we take and amplify the message. Let's say whoever wrote that question, Joe, you live in Winnipeg. I'll pick on Winnipeg here. You live in Winnipeg. You want to go to the legislature and get our MLAs and our premier active on this issue of Parkinson's in Manitoba. What we will do is we will come alongside you and amplify your message. Everything that you do, we will take and put it out to everybody who listens to us. So we need you to take the lead, and we will come alongside you, because there's no way that Tim can do that for everything that comes to us, right? I think that makes sense. So yeah, we need you to take up that local issue, and then the PD Avengers will come alongside you and amplify that message and assist you in every way that we can, so that you're heard and that you see success in it.
Okay. Perfect. And there's another one on here. It's not necessarily a question, but someone said you're an amazing advocate, and just a big thank you for everything that you're doing and all the awareness that you're raising. It's great for the Parkinson community.
Well, you're very welcome. Thank you. I appreciate that. It's very kind. And I have lots of fun.
Yeah, it sounds like it's a fun organization. You guys are having lots of fun, but doing lots of good for the Parkinson community.
Yeah, when we don't let ourselves get too stressed, we have lots of fun, which is more fun than stressed, but we still have Parkinson's, right? So you still have your days. And we all have our day jobs, if you will. You know, Dr. Sonia, she's been on multiple boards for years. Larry has a real day job still, in addition to PD Avengers, and I of course am executive director of U-Turn Parkinson's, in addition to my speaking and writing that I do. So we are all probably busier than we should be, but I don't know, it's all pretty fun.
Yeah, it sounds busy. I don't know how you manage all of that.
Yeah, some days I don't know either, but we seem to get it done. Oh, and there's one piece that I need to bring out. World Parkinson's Day 2022. It is World Parkinson's Day, obviously, on April 11th. And we are looking to bring the PD world together with one voice again, under a single banner, single logo, single voice. And so we're looking for inspiration. We're looking for ideas. Go to the website and scroll down just a little bit, and you will see a note there talking about that. If you have ideas for that kind of thing, we'd love to hear from you. We'd love to hear your concepts and ideas. And this isn't a, create a logo for us kind of thing. It's provide us inspiration and ideas towards something that will get built. And so that has that is due by the end of the month, I believe. So if you're a creative type, we'd love to hear your ideas on that. So go to the website, pdavengers.com, and scroll down just a little ways. You'll find World Parkinson's Day 2022 information there. We'd love to hear from you on that.
Can you share any details of what PD Avengers is doing for April 11th?
No, because we don't.
Okay, I thought so, but I thought I'd ask. I thought I'd see.
No, it's a good question, but yeah, we had a small meeting today, and we're just on the very beginning of it. So.
Okay, so head to the website if you guys have any ideas, and you can submit them there. Okay, yeah, I'm just looking in the chat. I don't see too many other questions that we didn't get to already. So I guess kind of to wrap up, what's one piece of advice that you would give to someone who is newly diagnosed, or someone who's been managing their Parkinson's for a while, but maybe just needs a little bit of hope and inspiration?
Well, I would say two things. One is I am back, I believe, in 2 months or something like that for another webinar, and we're going to be talking about, well, y'all said I could talk about whatever I want. I think we'll be talking about U-Turn Parkinson a little more specifically, and our Empower You program that we've started online. So we'll talk about that a bit, and just the need to pursue wellness that in my humble opinion, the pursuit of wellness is the cornerstone to ending Parkinson's. Because if you're not well, if I'm not well, there's not going to be people to lead wellness initiatives. There's not going to be people to lead advocacy initiatives. There's not going to be people to lead research initiatives. If we don't put ourselves first, if we don't take care of our health, both in body and mind, we're not going to accomplish anything. So my advice to you today is, I'm going to be a little self-serving here. If you haven't, go out and buy my book called Perseverance: The 7 Skills You Need to Survive and Thrive and Accomplish More Than You Ever Imagined, and learn to persevere. It means to carry on in your course of action, even in the face of difficulty, with little or no evidence of success. To carry on in your course of action, even in the face of difficulty, with little or no evidence of success. Learn to persevere, because this disease is not a sprint. It's not a short endeavor. It's not going to be over this year. We're going to live with this for the rest of our lives. And that, folks, means that we need to learn to persevere and learn what it means to run the long race, the long race, and do that well, so that we stay well mentally and in body. So persevere, live your best.
Perfect. Thank you. Thank you so much for joining us today and sharing about PD Avengers. It's great to hear all of the efforts that you guys are doing on a global scale, and I know it'll make quite a difference for folks with Parkinson's in years to come. So thank you for that. And yeah, again, thank you for taking your time and speaking with us today. We truly appreciate it. As I mentioned at the beginning, this webinar will be recorded and added to our YouTube channel. So if anyone wants to go back and watch it, you're more than welcome to. It'll be available in the next couple of days. And we hope that you can join us for our next webinar, which is scheduled for Wednesday, October 20th. It's a palliative care webinar with Dr. Janice Mayasaki. So thank you, Tim. Thanks for joining us today. And I guess we'll see you in a couple months for the next one.
Okay. Thank you.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.